Of course.
Before the speaker comes, please make sure you've written down some comments for Arnie about what he did well, what he can improve on. And I would like to introduce Dr. Jim. He is going to speak.
The name of my speech is How to Break a Leg.
How long does your speech?
5 to 7.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. Hello, my name is Jim Anderson, and I broke my leg last July. If you're thinking about breaking a major limb, I would urge you not to do that. It sounds cool, sounds trendy, sounds like a great way to get some sympathy from your friends. But there's other ways to do it that I would recommend might be a little bit better. So let me explain to you my story so perhaps you can learn from my tale. So last July 5th, which of course you instantly understand is the day after July 4th, I was out riding my bike in my neighborhood, which I'd done 1,000 times before. Now, something was a little bit different this day. What was a little bit different was in my neighborhood, they'd put what's basically a skim coat on the roads. It's basically a black oil coat that they put on top of asphalt that causes the asphalt to last longer. No big deal whatsoever. That's fine. Well, on this particular day, it started to rain. Just a little bit. I'm out riding my bike, it's starting to rain. I'm thinking, well, I don't want to ride my bike in the rain. I should probably turn around and go home. Interesting point. Water plus the skim coat makes a very slick surface. I didn't realize how slick of a surface it made. So I went to turn my bike around, and the back tire went whoosh out from under me. And I'm not, as in all accidents, I'm not exactly sure what happened next. But what I think happened was, as I went down, I took my left leg and stuck it straight out. And when you're 6.5 feet tall and you're falling off a bike, sticking your left knee out before you hit the asphalt is apparently a really bad thing to do. Because that knee hit the asphalt and was not happy about it. So there I find myself sitting in the middle of the road as the rain comes down, thinking, well, there's something wrong with my leg. I'm not sure what's wrong with my leg, but it doesn't seem to really want to move in the way I want it. Like standing up doesn't really seem like an option at this particular point in time. Something has gone wrong. So I fumbled with my cell phone, and I did fumble with it, and I eventually called my wife. Now, by the way, what a fantastic way to test a relationship. Break your leg, sit in the road, in the middle of the road, in the rain, and call your wife. See if she comes and gets you. Good news, she did. She showed up in a van and said, okay, so now what do we do? So I hauled my butt up into the back part of that van because that leg was not bending or doing anything like it should. She hauled me off to the hospital. They took some x-rays. And the little doctor who was on duty came in and said, well, we're going to have to send you off to see an orthopedic surgeon. I said, great, what's wrong? He said, well, you really probably got to talk to the orthopedic surgeon about that. And I wasn't putting up with any of that. I said, let's talk about what's going on with my knee. He said, well, you seem to have basically shattered your tibia. Tibia is the long bone in the lower part of your leg. It's an important bone, by the way, just in case you're wondering. And what I did was I basically snapped off the top of it. I said, oh, can we just sort of line those up and it sort of heals? You know, like kids who break their arm, just put a cast on. He said, no. You'll have to talk to your orthopedic surgeon about that. Okay, I said, not a problem. All right, so be it. So what they did is they put a leg immobilizer on my leg. It was basically just sort of like a couple pieces of metal on either side of it. You wrap it up, put some Velcro on it. Basically meaning you can't bend the leg. No big deal whatsoever. Then they gave me some crutches, which was actually, once again, sort of a funny thing because I'm 6.5 feet tall. Crutches are designed for maybe people who are 6'6". So the little girls who were giving me the crutches were like adjusting them all the way up here going, are you sure? Okay, whatever. So then I had my crutches, fantastic. So finding an orthopedic surgeon actually turned out to be a little bit of a challenge. I'd had some work done on another knee a few years ago, so he was obviously the natural candidate to give a call. He was out of the country, all right? But he had a partner, so we got in touch with the partner. He said, send the x-rays over. I'll take a look at them. He took a look at the x-rays and he said, no freaking way. I'm not exactly sure why he said no way, but let's assume there's some complexity in a middle-aged man breaking his left knee. Okay, no problem. So we went looking for another orthopedic surgeon, and we found one who was associated with the local hospital. And he said, sure. He said, I can do this. This is no big deal. And it turns out that I got a really, really good orthopedic surgeon because he'd been in the Army. The reason that's really good, because it turns out when all those Army guys are climbing the wall and going through the mud and stuff like that, they're breaking stuff left and right. What that means is I'm probably patient number 1,200 for him, or maybe 2,500, which is great. That's exactly what I want when I go see a doctor. I do not want to be patient number 4. I want to be way down the line. Okay. Anyway, Dr. Jones is his name. He is to the best of my knowledge, he's a fantastic orthopedic surgeon. No personality whatsoever. Does not crack a smile, does not make a joke. He will tell you exactly the way it's going to be. So I told him, I'm feeling better. I think the bones are sort of lining up. I figure another month or two and I'll be walking again. And he said, yeah, no, you'll never be walking unless I go into your leg, put a 5-inch piece of metal and probably like 12 screws and hold it all together. Well, thank you, Dr. Jones, for sort of sugarcoating that and just sort of, not being all that tough about it. Said, fine, no problem. So I show up at the hospital on the day of the surgery. Opportunity to meet some new people in the medical profession. So I'm sitting there, I'm having a good time, everything's going fine. The little nurse lady shows up and says, I'm going to give you an injection in your IV that they'd already hooked up to. She said, it's just really to calm the nerves. Just to calm the nerves. I'm like, okay, whatever. They're wheeling me down the hall. And I can remember telling them, wow, there's a lot of doors at this hospital. If only I'd gotten the contract to sell you guys doors, I would be a wealthy man. And that's the last thing that I remember. So that was no sedative she gave me. She knocked me on my butt, man. The surgery happened and I wasn't there. I had all sorts of clever things to say to the surgeon and the surgical team when I rolled into the room, but they never came out of me because I didn't have a chance. I woke up after it was all done. I was like, oh, okay, well, that was fine. Now, the interesting thing about my doctor had said, listen, this is effectively outpatient surgery. You can go home the evening of the surgery. There's no problems with that whatsoever, he said. However, there may be some pain and discomfort from the surgery, he said. And I'm going to give you pain medication, but what I'm going to give you is going to be relatively weak. He said, if you choose to stay in the hospital overnight, they've got some stiffer stuff that they like to call morphine. And you can have the morphine, but you have to stay in the hospital. So apparently, as I came out of surgery, which I don't completely remember, I must have been saying, I want to stay in the hospital, want to stay in the hospital, want to stay in the hospital once, because they already knew at that point in time. Anyway, the evening that I was in the hospital, it turns out they hooked me up to a little machine. The little machine had a little green light. Every time the light went green, you could hit a button and you'd get a shot of morphine. So there for a while, I was like, well, I'll tough it out for a little while. Okay, it's on for, I'll wait. Oh, wow, it sort of hurts. I'll click it. After a while, I was trained. Light goes green, hit the button. Light goes green, hit the button. Light goes green, hit the button. I wanted my next shot of morphine now. Why isn't it green? I want it to be green. So life goes on. My leg healed. I'm walking again, getting to where I need to be. It's been about 6 months. Not perfect yet. About 80, maybe 98%. So the doctor said, once again, not sugarcoating anything, said, yeah, it's going to take you a year to recover from this. I'm going to show him, though, 11 months from the accident, I'm going to be perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Glad you're doing better.
Yes.
That was quite a speech. Please